The Minnesota Vikings snapped their 4-game winning streak after falling to 6-3, losing to the GOAT, Matt Moore, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Final score, 26-23. I want to give a couple of shout-outs to a couple of players. Harrison Smith, Everson Griffin, who I thought had his best game of the season yesterday. Ifedi Odenigbo, Stephen Weatherly, Kyle Rudolph. Laquan Treadwell surprisingly had a very nice game yesterday. B.C. Johnson. And shout out to the offensive tackles for not looking nearly as bad as the interior offensive line yesterday. And yes, I said on Thursday's podcast previewing the Vikings versus Chiefs game that if the Vikings were to lose this game, you'll fall to 6-3. The sky isn't falling, and you can take this game as a learning experience to say, okay, what do we need to do to get better when facing better competition for the rest of the year? That was under the condition that you were facing Patrick Mahomes, not some damn Matt Moore. And no disrespect to Matt Moore, because I still expected him to play well, and I still expected Andy Reid to be super aggressive, which they were yesterday. But for everyone out there that said I'd rather take the easy win with Patrick Mahomes being out and have Matt Moore in. Where are y'all at? This was supposed to be an easy-ass win. And you guys wonder why I said, okay, forget the fact that, yes, this could be a good learning experience for the Vikings. I also wanted to know who this Vikings team really is, because we've seen over history where they have great records, they kick ass, and then when crunch time hits them, they all of a sudden fall apart. And yes, Kirk Cousins, he didn't play well. He wasn't angry Kirk Cousins like we had seen the last 4 weeks. But all things considered, I thought that he did well enough for the Vikings to win that game yesterday. This game was on coaching. How so, do you ask? Let me count the ways. On the second offensive possession, Minnesota Vikings, 3rd and short, they hand the ball off to Amir Abdullah. That's right, not Dalvin Cook, not Alexander Madison, Amir freaking Abdullah. Dalvin Cook not being in the game for that play, that's fine, because he needs to get his rest once in a while too. You certainly don't want him out there for 100% of the offensive snaps. But that's why you have Alexander Madison, your 3rd-round draft pick, to fill the void when Dalvin Cook has to come out, who coming into yesterday's game averaged 5 yards a carry. And I said, am I drunk? Is Alexander Madison, is he hurt? Is there something I'm not missing? No, he was out there. He was active because he came out onto the field later in that game. You just decided not to put him out there on 3rd and short. Instead, you handed it off to Amir Abdullah, which surprised he got stopped short of the 1st down. 4th down, you punted the ball away. You essentially forfeited an offensive possession. Then, in the 3rd quarter, Britton Colquitt booted a hell of a punt to pin the Kansas City Chiefs at their own 3-yard line, to where then Mike Zimmer and that vaunted defense gave up a 91-yard rushing touchdown to Damian Williams. Oh, Zim Reaper's going to get you in that vaunted defense. Okay, then up 23-20, Vikings get the ball back with just under 8 minutes left in the game. 1st down, play action screen pass to C.J. Ham, in which pressure was in Kirk Cousins' face. Okay, fine, so he was forced to throw it at the feet of C.J. Ham. 2nd down, you hand the ball off to Dalvin Cook for a 3-yard loss. 3rd down, you handed the ball off to Dalvin Cook again for peanuts. 4th down, you punt the ball away. That was one of the most cowardly offensive possessions that I have ever seen in my life. Then you give the ball back to Kansas City. They move the ball up the field and tie the game up 23-all. Then on the final offensive possession for the Vikings, 1st down, the ball gets batted down at the line of scrimmage. Okay, fine. 2nd down, play action screen pass to Irv Smith Jr. for a 7-yard loss. 3rd down, Cousins gets hit thanks to Pat Elflein not being able to block his dude after trying to make a pass attempt to Dalvin Cook, which would have got stopped short of the 1st down anyway, which that's on coaching too, because it's very clear for the last 4 or 5 weeks now that Pat Elflein needs to be benched. But because you think that Pat Elflein gives this offensive line the best chance for the offense to succeed instead of putting Brett Jones or Dakota Dozier out there, that's on the coaching staff too. And then a crappy punt by Britton Colquitt gives the Chiefs a short field position to where they're starting at the Minnesota Vikings 45-yard line. But on 1st down, you get a sack for an 11-yard loss to back the Chiefs up to their own 44-yard line. Okay, great. That's fantastic. Then on 2nd and 21, that brings up the double R play of the game.
Second and 21. It's only a three-man rush now. Four more floats. Kelce, big catch. Travis Kelce.
This was the double R play of the game to highlight the supreme coaching and the defensive guru that Mike Zimmer is in allowing Travis Kelce to catch a 17-yard reception on 2nd and 21. Forget the fact that your scheme allowed for Travis Kelce to get that catch. You had the nerve to say, you know what would be a fantastic idea? Let's line up Mackenzie Alexander on Travis Kelce. For those that don't understand the matchup problem with that, Mackenzie Alexander is listed at 5 feet, 10 inches tall, 192 pounds. You compare that to Travis Kelce, who's listed at 6'5", 260 pounds. The equivalent of that is like the Minnesota Timberwolves playing the Detroit Pistons, to where head coach Ryan Saunders is saying, let's have point guard Jeff Teague play center to fight tooth and nail and box out and grab rebounds over Andre Drummond. What the hell kind of crap was that? And then third down, 3rd and 4, 28 seconds and running for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs, Matt Moore fumbles the ball, but oh wait, the play gets called dead because Mike Zimmer calls a timeout. For what? You just assisted the Kansas City Chiefs with a timeout for no reason at all. Then, after the timeout call, you called an all-out blitz to where you left the center of the field wide open for an easy catch and run by Tyreek Hill. First down that gave the Kansas City Chiefs a more favorable kicking spot for the field goal. And I said, it's okay, because the Vikings, they still had one timeout remaining. And what would any head coach do in that position if the opposing team is getting ready to line up for a kick with time running out and they have one timeout left remaining? What do? They call a timeout right before the kicker is about to kick the game-winning field goal to ice the kicker. Ice, baby. And Mike Zimmer's like, nah, baby, because he didn't call a timeout. You allow for all the crappy game management that you do and all the stupid timeouts that you call inadvertently. You didn't call a timeout right there to at least attempt to ice the kicker and put more pressure on that dude. Nah, you just let the dude line up and kick the game-winning field goal. And the crazy thing is, I can't even get upset about this because Mike Zimmer is who I thought that he was. Mike Zimmer's record as far as win percentage against winning teams is 33%. To put that in perspective, that is worse than Andy Reid, Bill Belichick, Sean McVay, Doug Peterson, Jason Garrett, Sean Payton, Pete Carroll, Mike Tomlin, Ron Rivera. Bro, it's worse than Dan Quinn, who's about to get fired. The surprising percentage that is higher than is head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, John Harbaugh. But you know what? When you win a Super Bowl title, that buys you more clout. That buys you a more longer leash. So until you do that, which Mike Zimmer, his one playoff win was a lucky-ass miracle play. So for me, I'm sorry, but John Harbaugh is still better than Mike Zimmer. And so you look at that on the surface and say, well, that's still pretty great because that puts Mike Zimmer at 12th. That means there are 20 other worse head coaches than Mike Zimmer. That's pretty great, pretty fantastic. Yeah, congrats, coach. You're better than Bill O'Brien or John Gruden or other coaches that are about to get fired, or first and second year head coaches that are trying to establish a new identity with their team. You are now 0-2 against backup quarterbacks this season. This is the most overrated head coach that I have ever seen in my entire life. And the amount of excuses. Oh, my goodness. Well, at least he's better than Leslie Frazier and Brad Childress and Mike Tice. So because he's better than three guys who have never seen a head coaching position for the rest of their careers and never will again. So because he's better than those three guys, I'm supposed to sit here and unapologetically kiss this man's ass. I'm sure that Mike Zimmer as a man, as a human being, is great. But when it comes to his job as an NFL head coach, Mike Zimmer ain't shit. We do this 3 times a week. Mediocre Best Sports Podcast with Realistic Randy. Check me out on Twitter at realistic_Randy. Facebook at Realistic Randy. We will see you on Wednesday with the next podcast.